I'm here to tell you that taking an 8-bar loop and making a full song out of it is a lot easier than you think. So basically what you're going to do is when you have your 8-bar loop, I got this one here. This is a template out of my core trance pack. The link to that's in the description. What you're going to want to do when you have this 8-bar loop is just cut it. I'm hitting Command X or Control X if you're on Windows. And just put it right here at bar 65. If you're making dance music, that's probably where the big drop is going to be, at least if you're making like trance, techno, house, that kind of stuff. And then literally just take your drums. We'll take the sidechain too, right? So up here we got all of our synths on tracks 1 through 5. We'll take all of this stuff and we're going to put that at bar 33. So that's going to be when all the drums are coming in, okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the intro and we're going to take just our kick and our hi-hat and we're going to duplicate that all the way over. We're basically going to build the structure just kind of like really broad strokes to begin with and then kind of go from there, right? So we're going to have... Cool, that's a good little intro. Maybe we can grab like one of these percussion loops too. And another thing I like to do, honestly, I think in this case it works well. You don't always have to do this, but we have our bass line here. So what you can do for the intro with that is just take the MIDI, duplicate it, or put it there, right? I'm just copying and pasting. And just take the first note and copy it over a bunch of times, right? And I'm trying to show you how to do this without overthinking, without doing too much, just really kind of like going in the flow state and doing this, because I know taking tracks out of an 8-bar loop and actually making a track out of it, it seems like this crazy, daunting, scary thing, but it's really not that hard. Maybe we'll do a little bit of automation on the hi-hat too, like we'll have it so for the first 16 bars, it's just really short. That's cool. Let's try one of these other loops for the intro. Cool, and then we can start cutting the kick out like we'll do at the end there, just... Then once that disappears, maybe then we can bring in the clap. Right, and like with a lot of dance music, basically once something starts, it just kind of keeps going, right? So you can really build this arrangement pretty quickly. We already have like a whole intro here. Right, maybe we'll bring in some of this stuff here too. We can have this one showing up like here. Right. And then we'll take out the kick there. And then let's put all of these drums into a group. I'm going to automate the length on the hi-hat to get shorter there, so it kind of disappears essentially. And then I'll bring it back up in the break so that it's not weird later. And then all of these, we're going to put a utility and we're going to just automate them. And I'm doing all this without really, there's not a whole lot of theory here, but it's like, I'm just trying to show you, like, I'm just using my ear. I think a lot of people overcomplicate this stuff and they think it has to be all this, you know, there's all these rules and stuff. I'm really just listening to it, you know? Like, I just heard that and I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool. You know, if this stuff is just sort of disappearing here. Also, I'm going to have the bass, the full bass line start coming in here. And then that'll go through the break. We could also have the string here start to come in. And we're going to automate the volume on that so that it's like... Cool. And then we can take our melodic stuff here. I'm also going to have this start coming in. And again, just using a utility to do the volume automation. The reason I like to use a utility to do the volume automation like this is because this way you still have access to this track volume over here. So then when you're mixing the track, you don't have this like some automation on there. It's a lot easier if you just have this utility here doing the automation, and then you can still use that. Now we're also going to do this on the bass. A good thing for arrangement is having like a high pass filter that you can turn on, right? So we're going to have that turn on there. And then it's going to go through the break. And then once we come back here, we're going to come back with the full drums and everything. And then the bass will have that still. And then what we can also do here is we can automate the frequency on the filter. So you kind of lose some low end. Right, and it gets a lot smaller, and then it comes back super heavy there. So that's another thing with arrangement. It's like using your ears and then just understanding dynamics. Like if you have all this bass here, even with the high pass on, the drop hits a lot less hard than if you like let it get really, really small there, right? So we'll take that and duplicate it again. And then what we're going to do is we're going to keep it going here. We're going to use just the drums without the kick, and then all the synths in this part, and we'll turn on that high pass filter on the bass again. So again, I'm just like using my ear, you know? And then when that comes back, okay, so we'll copy another one of these, but it'll come back without the chords. So you kind of have like a little bit of a difference there in the main drop. And maybe this is where like your vocal can come back and stuff, right? And then let's do a breakdown where we have like just the synths without the bass or anything. And maybe a few of these little loops from down here. And now we can start making our outro. So now what we can kind of do, if you want to do this on easy mode, you can literally just take the stuff from over here. We'll have this operator thing kind of going down there. And let's do this where these cut out here too. That would sound good. And honestly, then we're just going to duplicate this. And then here, I'm going to put the full bass line. Actually, I think it would sound good. As long as this is in there. You can even try high passing the bass in this little... You know, just make it a little bit of dynamics there. But yeah, so as you can see, arranging a track is a lot easier than people think. You know, if you just use your ear, you can honestly end up with an arrangement pretty quick here like this, right? I think what happens is you think it has to be all these different things. And this definitely comes off of, like, I've studied a lot of tracks, right? Like, I've definitely looked at a lot of arrangements in the past, like, 7 years here on this channel. And I've studied a lot, so I kind of do know how this works already. But even that is, like, you know, there was a point in time when they didn't have all these tracks to study. And it really just comes from understanding, like, what's going to sound good and just using your ear, really, you know, and just thinking, like, how to make it exciting, like, cutting out the kick in different parts, you know. having the bass line start out with just one note, and then, oh, now all of a sudden there's notes, and then there's a break, and you kind of lose low end so it stays really fresh. Stuff like that. If you follow your ear and don't overthink it, you really can get out of the 8-bar loop syndrome pretty easily and pretty quickly. So that's going to be it for this one, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to like this video. Definitely check out Chord Trance. Links at the top of the description. It's the ultimate sample pack for building these kind of tracks. And it's got Ableton templates, breakbeats, drums, synths, even some vocals in there, and Serum presets. So it's literally everything you need to make a track. Thanks for the support, everybody. And I will see you tomorrow with another video.